What's up, everybody? Welcome back to your friendly neighborhood menace. And finally, the ghetto gutter trash Democrat known as the Hood Rat, Jasmine Crockett, is finally getting exposed, dude. Finally, dude. You knew this was coming. She's such a just piece of crap person, and it's just like people like that, like they think they're so she's not trying to be a member of Congress. She wants to be an e-celeb. She wants to be some kind of like influencer, which you can tell because policy, none of this stuff matters to her. She doesn't care about helping her people at all in Houston, which are above the national poverty line. So her city is poorer than the national average. Yeah, and you would think that all these white liberal women think she's like the next Jesus, second coming. You know, like the Nosferatu looking chick that's currently playing Jesus Christ Superstar. They think she's the actual second coming of Jesus, and this new story that exposes her in the New York Post is hilarious because there was one that came out in the Atlantic last week that she got triggered over and tried to put a stop to, and yeah, you just can't do that. And now New York Post got a whiff of that story, so they sent some people out to go find out about her staffers because apparently she doesn't even have any staffers right now.
If the subject of this radar is going to be the leader of the Democratic Party, but she is certainly
No,
an
definitely
up-and-coming
not.
person of notability, a personality of notability. But is she really ready for prime time? I'm talking, of course, about Representative Jasmine Crockett of Texas, a fiery progressive who has attracted significant media attention in the last, say, 6 months. It is also the subject of a new profile in Atlantic magazine. The Atlantic's Elaine Godfrey interviewed the Congresswoman and several of her colleagues. Now, what's drawn the profile to my attention, and as was the conversation about it on social media, it seems Crockett apparently doesn't quite understand how journalism works because in the profile, there's this following passage.
She knows. She's just playing stupid. That's her whole thing is to pretend to be some ghetto dumbass, like hood rat, and she's not. She's from her parents are like her dad's like a pastor or preacher or something. They paid $65,000 or $40,000, something like that a year, to send her to school. Like she's from a silver spoon background.
From it. Crockett said that people are free to disagree with her communication style, but that she was elected to speak up for the people that I represent.
What a joke.
As for her colleagues, 4 days before this story was published, Crockett called me to express frustration that I had reached out to so many House members without telling her first. She told me, shutting down the profile and revoking all permissions.
Imagine being that entitled that you think you have the final say on an interview that you already agreed to, and then it's all on the record. You have to say it off the record. Moron. Dumbass. Like, what do you mean you're revoking all permissions? They don't need your permission once you've already given it.
That's funny because you can't do that. Sorry. This is like one of the most basic rules of dealing with journalists. Sorry. Once you've spoken to them on the record, you don't own the story anymore. They do. You can't stop them from covering you because you don't like that they reached out to other people. You have to decline to talk to them in the first place or set the terms in advance. As NBC's Sahil Kapoor put it, not that this is not how any of this works, but don't, of course, try to tell Jasmine Crockett any of that. She is bursting with self-confidence, according to this profile. In fact, she seems pretty unhappy. She was passed over for a top leadership position, chair of the House Oversight Committee.
Yeah, because they don't even like you. They know you're a joke. You're a complete joke. You're an embarrassment. You are actually good for Republicans. Them keep putting you in the limelight is good for Republicans because you're so awful. You're so terrible. You're such a trash human being that you give more support. You change people's minds. Only liberal white women think that, like, oh my God, and of course, like, black woman Democrats, I don't know how they're not embarrassed and mad at her for the way she represents black women and makes them look.
The profile recounts her personal feelings of betrayal. Their own caucus, the Congressional Black Caucus, backed a different person. You see, Crockett believes she's the most qualified person for the job because,
Of course she
and I
does.
quote, there's one clear person in the race that has the largest social media following.
Oh my God.
Generating attention, positive and also negative, is something she's quite good at, obviously. Is it really the case, however, that being provocative, spicy, contrarian, unfiltered, attention-seeking, and let's be honest, fairly bombastic and occasionally offensive, is that the best set of attributes for Democrats?
She's always offensive. And she never wants to. She's not a team player. The only thing she cares about is getting clips on MSNBC. Like, what? That's all she cares about.
Leadership? Who knows? Maybe it is. Certainly the Democratic base wants leaders to fight the Republicans,
She's not one of them.
if only in virtue signaling sort of ways that have nothing to do with actual power and policy. At least Crockett was willing to do this.
If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
Chairman, I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's
Hold on.
I'm trying to find clarification on what quality.
Chairman, motion to strike
I had
those
no idea
words.
what you just said.
We're not gonna do this. Look,
Look at Jamie Raskin freaking out, dude.
earlier, literally just.
You just voted to do
Y'all did
it.
it first, so you
You
don't
just
talk
voted
Oh
to
my
do it.
God.
Order.
I'm trying
So
to get
insufferable.
clarification.
Look at, calm down.
No, because this
I
is
will
what
let us
y'all
get
do.
through proceedings.
So I'm trying to
Hey,
get
Miss
clarification.
Crockett, you're not
Y'all wanna
recognized.
play
Miss
games.
I can't hear
Crockett.
you with your yelling.
Here's another clip of just how like insufferable this woman is. She literally thinks she's the star, everywhere she goes. And this is when they were crying in Texas, fleeing the state, where she's gonna. I don't know. I don't think she's gonna lose her seat, but Caveman Al Green's gonna lose his. And they went to Chicago and New York to go cry over there, and they had a press conference, and this is what she does.
I appreciate y'all. That's it? Oh, we're done. We're done. Oh. We're done. No, we're done. Yes, we are. We done. That's what it says.
Obviously, they changed plans, you idiot. Like, dude, they have more. There's tons of people there that want to do this press conference where they can have their TDS and cry to everyone trying to get sympathy that they had to abandon their jobs. Of course, there's going to be, look, there's the caveman right there. Of course, they're going to have some things that they're going to have to revise. And she's just, no, we're done.
We were supposed to have Ron do the closing. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Sorry.
Embarrassing. Dude, how embarrassing, man. She is just awful. So now let's take a look at the New York Times, or it's a New York Post article that came out to expose her. All right, so the headline reads, Trump critic Rep. Jasmine Crockett is a no-show boss from hell who terrorizes staffers, aides say. All diva, no wow. Washington. Representative Jasmine Crockett has positioned herself as an unfiltered critic of President Trump, earning regular TV appearances and enthusiastic online following. But congressional aides tell the Post that the Dallas Democrat is just as rude and mean to her own staff. Wow, black women. So you're telling me that a black woman is mistreating other black women. Okay, let's check it out. The liberal loudmouth, 44 years old, single, childless, and miserable, has rocketed to fame since taking office in January 2023 as a fiery antagonist of the Republican president and his allies, aka all she has to offer is Trump derangement syndrome. But 3 sources who have worked with or for Crockett say she's rarely present when TV cameras aren't rolling and terrorizes staff when she does appear. Crockett is often found at her government-provided suite, and she is not often found at her government-provided suite in the Longworth House office building, with one insider saying she prefers to work from her nearby luxury apartment building, sometimes for weeks on end, so she never even goes into her office. She is laying around her apartment, won't come into the office, and is really just indifferent to staff and will scream at them. Wow. Awful human. She's never in the office and is very disengaged. She does her bullshit that goes viral and then freaks out over the most random things. I'm so surprised. A second source close to Crockett's team added, it is widely known that she's not nice to staff and is just not a really dedicated member focused on constituents, which anyone could tell you that because she's never proposed not even one bill. She's focused almost exclusively on being an influencer, not a member of Congress, said a third source who has worked with Crockett, describing her as all diva no wow. When Crockett does show up for work on Capitol Hill, often to attend a committee hearing where she deploys a made-for-social media attack on Trump, that's all she ever does. She prefers to have a staff member drive her the short distance to her office in a rented car rather than the staffer's own, a cheaper option commonly used by lawmakers. Dude. The staffer is expected to stand outside the vehicle, which has to be an Escalade. No way, dude. You can't make this up, dude. Or similar upscale make, and open the door for her like a chauffeur. You're technically allowed to do this, but it's wildly inefficient. Instead of using the scheduler's car, she rents a car every week in DC, one source said. Wow. She expects her staff to drive her around while she's in the back seat, they added, calling it a power play akin to treating the staffer like an Uber driver. Wow. Crockett, a former criminal defense attorney and Texas state legislator, burst into the national spotlight, blah, 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 with, and so they're saying she blew up when she attacked MTG, Majority Taylor Greene, at a committee hearing for having a bleached blonde, bad-built butch body after Greene ridiculed her fake eyelashes. While Crockett tried to fundraise off the Real Housewives-style viral clash, the Congresswoman's staff, which includes multiple gay and lesbian members, were left with mixed feelings. So even the gays don't like her because butch is a lesbian term. Complaints poured in from lesbians who objected to Crockett's derogatory use of the term butch to attack Greene, which even left some aides uneasy because they're offended by everything and they're ashamed of nothing. She told her gay staff members, "That's not offensive. You're stupid if you think so," a former aide recounted to the Post. It was kind of like how Trump says the gays love me. 3 months later, I'm just going to say right now that's factually incorrect. Trump lost gay support more in his last election. 3 months later, Crockett was given a coveted speaking slot at the Democratic National Convention where she ripped the former and future president as a vindictive, vile villain. Crockett has burned through employees at such a pace that she's becoming known as a present-day version of the late Rep. Sheila Jackson Lee, long called the Capitol's toughest boss. A number of staff have become fed up with their treatment, while others have either been fired or left on their own, a distinction often difficult to discern in Washington. Wow. Some former aides cited fear of retribution when declining to participate in the story. So they're already afraid of what she might do to them. She tried to ruin their career, most likely. She thinks she's her own best advisor. Yeah, she knows best. You can tell that. Yeah, that's 100% sounds like her. And has this toxic staff environment, a source said. She gets rid of press people because she's like, "I do all the press stuff." On one occasion, described to the Post, Crockett reduced a legislative aide to tears, bellowing, "Do you really want to be here? And if not, you can leave." Another aide, a young black woman, was fired abruptly and confided to a colleague, "I don't want to hear Jasmine Crockett talk about helping black women when she just fired one for no reason." Wow. Sitting here virtue signaling about caring about black women and black jobs. You're taking black jobs away from black women. You're taking black jobs, which remember when they had a big old, they got their panties all up in their ass about Trump said black jobs. You're taking black jobs away from black women. Capitol Hill jobs often are filled based on personal connections, and openings are circulated among friend groups just like any other job. A source told the Post that a job listing for Crockett's team recently was shared among a large group of black Democratic women, but nobody expressed interest in the gig. Not even black women want to work with her because she's so insufferable. You would think working for a black woman, if you are a young black woman or a young person of color, you would feel empowered in that space, said a former Democratic congressional aide. But truly, the only person that she thinks about and cares about is herself. The staff is really just an island unto itself. because she doesn't care about the local issues happening in her district. Yeah, we know that. She don't care about her district. She's more focused on get me on The View, get me on this late night talk show. So this is a funny part. A lot of congressional hearings are on the most boring basic shit. How is it at every hearing it's about Trump? She makes it everything about Trump. It's about Trump again and again and again. And it's like she's not actually doing any real work. She's not. She's at a hearing. We can be talking about the budget. They can be talking about appropriations. And she brings it back to Trump, who has nothing to do with it every time. Dude. What a lame, bro. I encourage you guys to go read the rest of the article. It's great. It's great watching her get exposed. But let me know what you think. Don't forget to like the video. Subscribe if you want. That's what's up. I'm out. Peace.